Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about one of the most confusing topics in the gut health world, and that is Candida, SIBO, and dysbiosis. And you know what? Honestly, most people online are throwing these terms around interchangeably, which is exactly why so many people are overwhelmed, confused, stuck on restrictive diets, and spending hundreds of dollars on supplements that are not actually fixing the root problem. So, I cannot tell you how many women come to me saying, I think I have Candida, or I'm pretty sure I have SIBO, or my functional practitioner told me I have dysbiosis. And you know what? Most of the time, they do not actually understand the difference between any of them. And honestly, I don't blame them because social media has made gut health feel like the Wild West lately. Like, literally, one person says, take oregano oil. Another says, don't touch oregano oil. Another says, eat garlic. And then another person says, garlic ruined my life. So at this point, people are scared of broccoli and blueberries and are surviving off of chicken and rice, wondering why they still feel terrible. So today, I want to simplify this and help you understand what these actually are, how they overlap, and why symptoms can look so similar. So, and also why random products from TikTok usually fail. Because you know what? The truth is, you cannot supplement your way out of a problem you have not properly identified. So, first, let's define these in normal human language. So, let's start with Candida. Candida is a yeast, it is a fungus. And yes, some Candida in the body is completely normal. The problem happens when it becomes overgrown and starts taking advantage of an unhealthy gut environment. So you want to kind of think of it like weeds in a garden. A few weeds, totally normal. But if the soil conditions are off and nothing is keeping them in check, then suddenly the weeds take over the entire yard. So some common candida symptoms can include the obvious sugar cravings, brain fog, reoccurring yeast infections, oral thrush, itchy skin, bloating, fatigue, white coating on the tongue, and feeling worse after you have sugar or alcohol. Now, let's talk about SIBO. So, SIBO stands for small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. So, this is when bacteria that are supposed to live primarily in the large intestine start overgrowing in the small intestine where they should not be hanging out in large amounts. So, the small intestine is not designed to host a frat party of bacteria all day long. That in turn can create gas, pressure, bloating, pain, food reactions, constipation or diarrhea, nutrient deficiencies, reflux, and histamine issues. And a huge clue with SIBO is a lot of people look pregnant by the end of the day. Like, wake up flat stomach, end of the day, 6 months pregnant. So that is very common with SIBO. Now, dysbiosis. Dysbiosis is basically an imbalance in the gut microbiome. So too much bad bacteria, not enough good bacteria, a loss of diversity or inflammation, opportunistic overgrowth. Think of dysbiosis as the umbrella term. So, candida can exist with dysbiosis. SIBO can exist with dysbiosis. And you can also have dysbiosis without SIBO and candida. So, and this is where people get confused because the symptoms overlap quite often. So, all three of these can cause bloating, brain fog, fatigue, food sensitivities, skin issues, weight loss resistance, constipation, diarrhea, anxiety, histamine reactions. So, this is why symptom guessing gets people into trouble because you cannot accurately diagnose your gut from one Instagram reel that says, if you crave sugar, you have candida. Like, honestly, almost everyone under stress with unstable blood sugar is gonna crave sugar. So, that alone does not mean you have a fungal overgrowth taking over your body, y'all. Like, and here is where it gets even more confusing. One problem can create another. So, for example, low stomach acid can contribute to SIBO. SIBO can damage the gut lining. Damaged gut lining can contribute to food sensitivities and histamine issues. Chronic inflammation and poor digestion can create an environment where Candida can thrive. So sometimes people are treating one piece of the puzzle while three other things are still driving the symptoms. And that is exactly why protocols fail. So this is the part nobody wants to hear. Most protocols fail because people are guessing, they're over restricting, they're killing things aggressively. I see that one a lot. They're ignoring the nervous system. That's another one I see a lot. Ignoring motility, ignoring stress, and ignoring why the balance happened in the first place. So you cannot just kill the bad bugs and expect everything to magically stay fixed because it doesn't work like that. Because if the environment is still dysfunctional in the gut, then the imbalances are usually going to come back. So it's like scooping water out of a leaking boat without fixing the hole. And guess what? Honestly, sometimes people make themselves worse trying to self treat. So I see women terrified to eat fruit. They're terrified to eat carbs. They're terrified to eat fiber. And they're literally living on six foods. They're taking 14 supplements. They're still bloated. They're still inflamed. They're still exhausted. And at some point, the body's just like, ma'am, can we please relax? So, and this is why testing matters. So, testing helps remove the guessing because the protocol for Candida actually looks very different from SIBO. And methane SIBO looks very different than hydrogen SIBO. And hydrogen SIBO looks very different from hydrogen sulfide SIBO. So, and dysbiosis with low beneficial bacteria looks much, much different than dysbiosis with inflammatory overgrowths. So, this is why personalized functional testing can be so, so helpful because it helps us stop chasing random symptoms and start looking at like what is overgrown, what is missing, how digestion is functioning, gut inflammation, immune activity, gut barrier health, H. pylori, enzyme function, short chain fatty acids, and just the overall ecosystem in general. So, because your gut is an ecosystem, and if you only focus on killing without rebuilding the ecosystem, then things usually do not hold long term. Now, let's talk about restrictive diets really quickly because this is important. Restrictive diets can absolutely reduce symptoms temporarily. Like lowering sugars may help Candida symptoms. Low FODMAP may reduce SIBO symptoms, but symptom reduction is not always the same as healing. So, in staying on highly restrictive diets long term can actually reduce microbiome diversity even more. So your gut bacteria want variety. They like different fibers. They like different colors. It likes different nutrients. So the goal is not how many foods can I eliminate forever? The goal is how do we heal enough so the body becomes more resilient again? And that is truly the real goal because food freedom matters, energy matters, being able to go to dinner without fear matters. Your body's not supposed to feel like a full-time stress project. So if you're someone who's been confused by all the gut health noise online, just know you're not crazy. You're definitely not alone. Gut symptoms are very complex. There are lots of layers to this, and there's usually a reason your body is reacting the way that it is. So, if this was helpful, drop a gut comment in the comment section or send me a message. I love talking about this stuff and helping people connect the dots between their symptoms and what may actually be going on underneath the surface.